Russian forces continue their attempted push through Ukraine, and today Ukraine rejecting an ultimatum from Russia. Meanwhile, President Biden will travel to Poland later this week. Joining us now to break down the very latest developments is Dr. Heather Katz, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Dr. Katz, good morning, and thanks for being here with us.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So the attack began almost a month ago. At this point, where is Russia in their efforts?
Russia is, as I said in my last interview, they're really quite surprised about how little progress that they have made. That there seems to be some progress being made in Mariupol, which is a city that is in the southern Ukraine that may in fact fall in the next couple of days. But beyond that, they have not made any significant gains in the last week. They are no further to taking Kiev, the capital, of course, which is the ultimate prize. And so Russia is really quite, Putin especially, is really quite surprised that the nature of this battle has gone very differently than he expected. He told his troops that this was a training exercise to begin with, and that he assumed that Ukrainians would welcome them as liberators, and this has proven again and again not to be the case. And so Putin has already tamed himself and is really stuck in a corner of he can't really compromise too much on his agenda, on what his goals are in Ukraine, but he can't seem to push any further either, because he's running out of manpower and running out of munitions and that sort of thing. So this is why we see him going to his allies, especially China, and asking for assistance.
You mentioned Mariupol. Let's expand on that. Ukraine rejected Russia's demands to surrender that city. What would the fall of Mariupol mean for Russian forces?
I think it would give them a morale boost. Certainly, one of the main lessons that we've had here is that a lot of the Russian soldiers, again, went to the Ukraine in the belief that they were going to be saviors, or that they didn't even know that this special military operation was supposed to be an invasion. And so for Russian troops on the ground, I think it might give them a boost of confidence, which is something that they are lacking quite significantly at this point. What we noticed is that the official numbers of Russian dead are being kept quiet, but the number is in the thousands. So official estimates are about 1,400 Russian soldiers alongside 1,300 Ukrainian, but it's likely much higher. So I can only imagine what it's like to be a young man walking past a convoy where your tanks and your equipment are all stalled, and perhaps we have seen the images, they are quite graphic, of Russian soldiers who have died attempting to take these cities, and that can't be good for people who are left.
So Ukrainian President Zelensky says he's open to negotiations with Russian President Putin. What, if any, kind of resolution would come from a conversation between the two leaders?
So far, it seems that Putin and Zelensky will not be able to meet until Putin has certain demands that are met. One of the big ones, and it seems like Zelensky is pushing towards this, is that he will give up his attempt to join NATO, or Ukraine's attempt to join NATO. But there are other concessions that Zelensky is willing to make. One of them being Russian language being not a second official language of Ukraine, but at least being allowed. So there were recent policies taken under Zelensky's administration that limited the use of Russian in official capacities. There is also this idea of denazification that Putin is demanding, which from all Western observers, we don't really know what that means, since Zelensky himself is a Jewish person who had family who were killed in the Holocaust. And so I think that denazification is more of a rhetorical tool to get people who really sort of understood the importance of the Soviet Union's victory over the Nazi regime, and sort of bring that idea back, that legitimization of killing Nazis is something that is hard to argue against. So these demands were discussed in talks in Turkey over the weekend, and it seems like they're making progress, but Putin is one of the things that it seems like is going to be a barrier is to what degree will Putin accept not being able to take over the rest of the country, to be blunt. Will he accept the status quo ante of where the lines were drawn on February 24th? And so that's going to be one of the real deciding factors. And for Putin, something that's not talked about enough, which is worthwhile mentioning, is that Putin, as an autocrat, is very much, how should I put this, is very much dependent upon success, not only to stay in power for himself, but also his own life. It hangs in the balance. So there is a possibility if Putin loses, there's going to be a coup, and that is very concerning for the rest of the world.
And real quickly here before we go, President Biden expected to travel to Europe to visit Poland. What can we expect from this visit?
Biden and the West have really made a clear delineation between the role that NATO and the West is going to be playing. That they want to ensure that they are supporting Ukraine because it is really it's one of the things that has brought the West together, that this fight for democracy and freedom. And so they're going to do everything short of putting boots on the ground. And so he is going to recommit that NATO and the West is going to protect NATO members, which is part of Poland. So we want to make sure that Putin knows that there's a line that he cannot cross, but also that he is probably going to see that he hopes that negotiations are going to go well.
All right, Dr. Heather Katz, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you.